So do you also want to automate employee satisfaction reports? Then this video is definitely for you. So hello all, welcome back to Pabbly Connect, and in this video we are going to understand how to automate employee satisfaction reports using an AI agent. So like you, I also used to manually generate the employee satisfaction reports, but this is such a time consuming and a tedious task. So to solve this problem, I've simply created this amazing automation where what is going to happen is that as soon as my employee fill in the employee feedback form, automatically my AI agent is going to generate the report, and further we're going to add that in our spreadsheet. So to do this, we are simply going to create a connection between Google Forms, my AI agent, which is OpenAI, and Google Sheets. And to create this connection without knowing any programming or coding language, we are going to use Pabbly Connect. It is an amazing automation software. So if you also want to create this amazing automation for your own business, then for that you have to come with me towards my screen.
Welcome to my screen. So in this video, I'll show you how to automate employee satisfaction reports using an AI agent and Google Sheets. So this system collects feedback, analyzes sentiments, and generates insightful summaries, helping your HR teams to stay ahead of the workplace trends and moral issues. So it's a perfect for streamline internal surveys and boosting employee engagement. So let's dive in and make your reporting process smarter and faster with AI. So what is going to happen is that whenever your employee is going to fill in this monthly employee feedback form, automatically the details of their feedback form would be added right over here in your spreadsheet. Not only this, the summary of the feedback will be generated and added right over here in your spreadsheet. So if you also want to see the perfect working of this automation, so yes, I'm just going to show you the same right now. So over here you can see, let's say that my name is demo user, and I'm just going to fill in this employee feedback form. I'm just going to enter all of my details and click on this submit to fill in this employee feedback form. And now I'm just going to open my spreadsheet. So as you can see, the details have been added right over here of the feedback form. Not only this, but the summary of the same has been added right over here within seconds in real time. So yes, this is the powerful automation which we're going to create in today's video, that not only the response but also the summary of the same response has been added right over here in my spreadsheet. So my AI agent generated this summary and added it right over here in my spreadsheet. So now my team doesn't have to review each one of the form submission. They only have to read these summaries and act accordingly. So as you can see, this is the powerful automation which we're going to create in today's video. And if you also want to create this amazing automation for your own business, then for that you have to watch this tutorial till the end. So to do this, we are simply going to open a new tab and we're going to look for the landing page of Pabbly Connect simply by searching pabbly.com/connect in my browser. So I'm simply going to search for pabbly.com/connect in my browser, and now it is opening the landing page of Pabbly Connect. And once we're going to open the landing page of Pabbly Connect, we are going to get two options. One is sign in and the another one is sign up for free. So if you are a new user, you can click on this sign up for free and you're going to get 100 of tasks free every month to explore the application. But over here, I am an existing user, so I'm simply going to click on this button which says sign in. And once we're going to click on this sign in, it is opening all Pabbly apps, and over here you can see all the tools and applications offered by Pabbly. But in today's video, we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are connecting different applications. So I'm simply going to click on this access now right over here to access my Pabbly Connects account. And once we're going to click on this access now, it is opening the dashboard of my Pabbly Connects account. And after opening this dashboard, we simply have to go towards this create workflow right over here. And now it is asking me for the workflow name and the folder I want to save the workflow in. So on my dashboard, you can see multiple folders which I have already created in which I save my workflows. So if you also want to create a new folder, you can go towards this create new folder button and create your own. I have already created multiple folders, so I'm just going to select one from this only, which is automations. And now it is asking me for the workflow name, so I'm simply going to name my workflow as automate employee satisfaction reports using an AI agent, and then we are simply going to click on this button which says create. And once we're going to click on this create, it is opening the most important window of our automation, which is our workflow window. So this is the most important window because we have trigger and action in this. Trigger and actions are the two main principles on which our workflow is going to run. Trigger means when this happens and action means do this. So by this you can understand that the actions are response towards the commands given by a trigger, and that's the particular reason reason that we can have only a single trigger but multiple actions following the commands of our trigger in a particular workflow. And to get started, we are simply going to select our trigger application. So for my trigger application, I'm simply going to select it as Google Forms. So I'm just going to search for Google Forms right over here and select it. And after selecting the trigger application, I'm simply going to select my trigger event, which is new response received. And now it is giving me a webhook URL. So we're going to use the same webhook URL in order to create a connection between our Google Forms and our Pabbly Connects workflow. So I'm simply going to copy this webhook URL, and then we have to follow this help text, and it is saying login into your Google Forms account on which you want to take the submission and make the last question as the required for trigger. So you have to keep in mind that in your Google Forms account, the last question should be required for the trigger. So you have to keep in mind that you have to keep this last question required. I have already kept this last question as required. So now I'm just going to move on forward towards this response tab. And after coming over here towards this response tab, over here you can see all the responses which I have received. Alright, you can also see an option right over here of view in sheets. So for you, the option may not be view in sheets because you haven't linked your Google Forms with your spreadsheet. I have already linked my Google Forms with my spreadsheet. That is the reason it is giving me the option of view in sheets. But if you haven't linked, you're going to get the option of link with sheets right over here, and you can simply click on the link with sheets option right over here. Then automatically your Google Forms account will be connected to your spreadsheet. Alright, so as you can see that I've already connected it. So I'm just going to click on this view in sheets and open my sheets. And over here you can see all the responses of my Google Form would be added right over here in this spreadsheet. So I'm just going to create a connection between this Google Forms and my Pabbly Connects workflow with the help of this spreadsheet only. So what we're going to do is I'm simply going to open my spreadsheet, and now from here we have to go towards this extensions, add-ons, and then towards this get add-ons. And now after coming over here towards this get add-ons, what we have to do is we simply have to search for an extension right over here, which is Pabbly Connect webhooks. So I'm simply going to search for it right over here. And after searching for it, as you can see that I have already installed this extension. So if you haven't installed this extension, you're going to get the option of install right over here. I have already installed it, so it is giving me the option of uninstall. Alright, so now we're going to move on further. Now after installing this extension, you have to refresh your spreadsheet. So it is a really important step to refresh your spreadsheet. Otherwise, you'll not be able to get the option of Pabbly Connect webhooks right over here in your extensions tab. And after getting the option of this Pabbly Connect webhooks, we simply have to go towards this initial setup. And after coming over here towards this initial setup over here, it is asking me for the webhook URL and the trigger column. So for the webhook URL, we are simply going to paste the URL which we copied from our workflow. And now for the trigger column, I'm just going to enter my trigger column, which is J. So the trigger column will be your final data column on which if the data is added, the whole of that row will be sent towards your webhook URL. So I kept my trigger column as J because over here you can see that in my questions, I made the last question as required because this is the last column which is going to get filled in the spreadsheet upon this response submission. So that is the reason that I have kept my trigger column as J right over here, because I want that whenever this Google Form submission is made, automatically my workflow should get triggered. So that is the reason I kept it as J. You have to enter your trigger column according to your form questions or according to your spreadsheet only. And now we are simply going to click on this button right over here which says submit. And once we're going to click on this submit, you can see it is saying setup configured successfully. And with this, we have successfully created a connection between our Google Forms and our Pabbly Connects workflow. And now what we're going to do is it is saying waiting for a webhook response, and in the notes it is saying do a test submission / record. So in order to capture this webhook response, we have to do a test submission or record. So to do this test submission or record, I'm just going to open my spreadsheet, and over here we're going to do the test submission. But before doing this, I'm just going to go towards this extensions, Pabbly Connect webhooks, and now we are simply going to switch on this button which is send on event. And as you can see that I've simply switched on this button, and after switching on this button, what is going to happen is that whenever a new event is going to occur in the spreadsheet or whenever a new Google Form response will be submitted, automatically this workflow is going to get triggered. So yes, with this now we are ready to do the test submission. So I'm just going to open my Google Forms and we're going to do the test submission with the new details this time. Let's say for the full name, I'm just going to keep it as test user. So I'm just going to enter test user right over here. Let's say for the department, I'm just going to keep it as HR. I'm just going to enter the job role and title right over here. Now after entering this, we're going to move on forward. I'm just going to enter the satisfaction rating. We're going to move on further. I'm just going to enter this aspects of the job which I enjoy the most. And then we're going to move on further. I'm just going to enter the factors. We're going to move on further. It is saying, how do you describe your relationship with the manager? I'm just going to keep it as neutral. It is saying, do you feel the contributions are recognized in values? I'm just going to keep it as yes. And now it is asking me for the suggestions. So I'm just going to enter the same. And yes, you can see that I've simply entered all of these details. And now what we're going to do is I'm simply going to click on this button which says submit. And once we're going to click on this submit, automatically these details have been sent towards my workflow. So I'm just going to open my workflow. And over here you can see that with this we have successfully captured the response for the same. And with this we have successfully completed our trigger step, which is Google Forms. So now we're going to move on further. Now I'm just going to move on towards our action step and select my action application as my AI agent, which is OpenAI. So what I want is I want to automate employee satisfaction reports using an AI agent, right? So that is the reason that I'm just going to select my action application as OpenAI. And now for the action event, I'm simply going to select it as ChatGPT and click on this connect. And now it is asking me to add a new connection or select an existing connection. So if you have already connected your OpenAI account with your Pabbly Connect's workflow, you can simply click on this select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection, and now it is asking me for the token. So to get this token, I'm simply going to follow the help text, and it is saying kindly visit your OpenAI API key page to get the API key that you need to enter here. So I'm simply going to go towards my OpenAI API key page to get the API key which I need to enter here. And after opening the API keys page, I'm simply going to go towards this create new secret key button, and now I'm just going to name my key right over here as employee satisfaction reports. I'm just going to select the project and click on this create secret key button, and now my key has been created. So I'm simply going to copy this key and then we're going to paste this key right over here in our workflow. And after pasting this key, I'm simply going to click on this blue button which says save. And with this, we have successfully connected our OpenAI account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. Now it is asking me to select the AI model. So I'm simply going to select my AI model as GPT-4o Mini right over here. You can select any another of your choice. And now it is asking me for the prompt. So I'm simply going to enter my prompt right over here. And as you can see that I've successfully entered my prompt. And now I'm just going to enter the input details right over here so that we can generate a concise summary for the same. Alright, so I'm just going to enter all of these details, but we're not going to enter it manually by typing it like this, but instead we're going to map it. So you must be wondering what is mapping. So mapping is a method by Pabbly which means inserting the data from the previous step. And as you know, our previous step was the trigger step where we selected Google Forms as our trigger application. So we are simply going to map the details from the response of our trigger application only. And as soon as we're going to map these details, automatically my details will turn dynamic and change with every new response received. So we're just going to start with the full name. So I'm just going to map the full name. We're going to move on further. I'm just going to map the department right over here. We're going to move on further. I'm just going to map the satisfaction rating. So I'm just going to look for the same and map it. We are going to move on forward. I'm just going to map the factors right over here. I'm just going to move on forward. I'm just going to map the support level right over here, and I'm just going to map the suggestions too. So once I'm just going to map all of these details, I can click on this save and send test request button given right over here. And then my AI agent is going to use all of this input and generate a summary. And as you can see that my AI agent has successfully generated me the summary. So I'm just going to add this summary right over here in my Google Sheets. For that, I'm just going to add another action step. And now for the action application, I'm simply going to select it as my Google Sheets. And now I'm just going to select my action event as update a cell value. So I'm simply going to select it as update a cell value and click on this connect. And once we're going to click on this connect, it is asking me to add a new connection or select an existing connection. So if you have already connected your Google Sheets account with your Pabbly Connect's workflow, you can simply click on this select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection, and now you have to click on this blue button which says sign in with Google. And once we're going to click on this blue button, Pabbly is asking me to select my Gmail account, with the help of which I'm just going to connect my Google Sheets. So I'm simply going to select my Gmail account, with the help of which I'm just going to connect my Google Sheets. And now Pabbly is asking me for some permissions. So what we're going to do is I'm simply going to click on this allow and give Pabbly all the permissions it is asking for, because my data is secure with Pabbly. And with this, we have successfully connected our Google Sheets account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. And now it is asking me to select the spreadsheet. So I'm simply going to select my spreadsheet right over here. And then it is asking me to select the sheet. So I'm simply going to select my sheet too. Now we're going to move on further. It is asking me to enter the range of the sheet that needs to be updated. Example, the column name and the row index. So as you can see, the range of the sheet which needs to be updated is this K4. So I'm just going to enter K4 right over here. But we are not going to enter it manually like this K4, because right now it is K4. But with every new response, it is going to change, right? It will be K5, 6 and so on. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to keep this K right over here static, but we're going to map the row index, because as you can notice that this K is constant, only the row is going to change. So that is the reason that I'm simply going to map the row index but keep the column as static. Now after doing this, I'm simply going to map the value, which is the response my AI agent generated. And after doing all of this, I'm simply going to click on this blue button which says save and send test request. Alright, and once we're going to click on this save and send test request, we have received the positive response that we have successfully added this summary right over here in our spreadsheet. And as you can see, the summary has been added right over here in my spreadsheet. So with this, we have successfully completed our workflow. And now what is going to happen is, like I showed you in the starting of this video, whenever a new Google Form submission is made, automatically the summary for the same will be generated and added into my spreadsheet within seconds in real time with the help of this amazing automation. So now go try this amazing automation for your own business, because right now we are offering a free 100 task of Pabbly Connect. And if you have any questions while trying, you can directly comment on this video. See you in the next video with many more automation tips, everyone. Thank you for watching.
So not only these applications, but with the help of Pabbly Connect, you can connect many more applications. So now if you have any doubts, you can reach us at support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can reach us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, you can follow this URL. And now go try this amazing automation for your own business too, because right now we are offering a free trial of Pabbly Connect.